So raise a hand who can check the front-end container. So if you run your Docker Compose command, can you run Docker PS and simply grab the front-end part? Front-end. If you can see this one, if you can have this response, then all good. Raise a hand who has this response. You write Docker PS grab front-end. I will zoom this up for guys on the last row. If you have this response, raise your hands. Yeah. Okay. So everyone has installed the extension? Yes, yes, that's great. So now, when we now open the PWA up, so it should be like this. If we go to PVD, that's your, sorry, that's how you, that's the path. From your ScandiPWA base, go to SRC, app design frontend ScandiPWA, and open this in your editor. If ready, then do a little bit of magic. You need to add workspace to your folder. Why? Let's add the source, the core file to your, to our workspace so we can reference it anytime. This is the SRC. Then we go to vendor. Then we go to ScandiPWA. This should be here. And then we go to theme source, this source. And then we click add. And here we now have the PWA and source. And why we need it? So we can reference the same file structure here and there. And yeah, quick check if how we extend things. Okay, great. So now we have our application. Let's press Shift Command P. This will allow us to get into console. And let's type here new route. So create a new route. And let's name it. Let's decide what route we are today creating, how we will name our route so we will keep it consistent. Any suggestion? The first suggestion, I will take it. Guys. Artyom's, good your advice. Let's have it. So, following our name convention, we should name it with a capital letter. You see, it validates. We should have a capital letter. So, Artyom's is our new route. Should it contain a business logic or should be connected to a global state? Let's put a connection to a global state, yes. And the business logic, we can. Okay, let's do it just in order to showcase the full functional. So here we go. We are back at it again. Created. Now we have our structure. The issue here is that we are. Yep. You were trying to create a route. Yeah, I just Shift Command P. If you have an extension installed, just create a new route, and then press on it, and then follow the instructions. Good. So we have our container, we have our component. It's this there. It's fine. That's good. What we need to do is now we need to. So the route is currently created. Let's add some dummy content for now. Let's create a paragraph and add a translatable text here. So this function is a translatable text. If you do double under, if you do those under, yeah, 2 double underscores, that means you're writing a translatable text. And inside, let's do hello Artyom's. And also another thing which is important is that every page which we are doing should contain a main tag, because like this is a semantic requirement. So let's add a main tag here instead of div. So now we have a main tag, inside of which we have a paragraph called Artyom's. And let's quickly also give a paragraph some element. Yeah, sure.
Was it contains business logic?
Yes, we put everything to yes. So we have this main with the block artioms, and you may immediately see that we don't have a class name. Instead, we have this block. And what this block does is that's a reference to a BAM block element. And how can we use it? We can use it like this. We use the block, and we use element. And this is the greetings element of the artioms, greeting. And now we can easily declare this, easily style this. So I will add a style right here, so easy to reference. So we have our artioms class, the main class. We will add the greetings element to it. So let's add the greetings, and let's add some styles to it. Let's make the font size a little bit larger. So I'll use 20 pixels, and I will color it some way. Let's color it, for example, let's color it red, but yeah. But still, you see, what we are encouraging you to do is because it's useful to have your colors declared as CSS variables, we encourage you not to do stuff like this, color red. Why? Because if you do this, then you won't be able to style your theme on top of. So it will be hard to, for example, change a theme of your application if you decide so. So my recommendation here would be to go for declaration of root here. You declare a root element here, and you add a variable. So it's artiom's greeting color, and it's red. So now you can reuse this variable and just, yeah, use it here. And now whatever place you want, you can change this one specific place, one specific variable, and the colors will change. This is the way I recommend going for it. So we kind of have now our component declared, the class artioms. We have our container here, which is currently pretty empty. Nothing too much here, just two dummies. That's good. But what we are missing is the registration of the route. So how to register a route? Let's reference the source for it, okay? Let's go to source, let's go to src, app, and let's go to route. And the route has an index file. And this is the information about the routes which we have currently. And we need to add new one. So how to do it? It's pretty simple, but there is a quirk to it, which we will discover a little bit later. So let's go to our application and create the same file in the same path. So we'll do index.js here. And here we should import the original things which we need. Oh, yeah, sure. It's fine. We are all fine yet. Let's import what we are importing. We are importing up router, I suppose. Yes, we are importing up router. It's not a default, so we import up router from source route right away. And up router, we not only need up router, we also need switch item type, I believe. Yep, correct. So we import up router and switch item type from source route. And then what we do, we declare a class, which will be, oh, let's also do here this one. Let's do this one as source up router. So now we declare a default up router, so simply up router, and we extend the original. Cool. And now we should also export the export default up router. Up router should go here. So now we extended the default up router, but that's not it yet, because we need to add this declaration. So what we do here is we declare our switch items type, and we declare it as, I'm sorry, like this. And what we need here is we need to specify the super dot, or this will be this. Let me check. This could be this switch item types to extend. I'm not sure. We will need to check this. This will be triple dots, and this will be, I believe, super or yeah. So we'll reference a parent class, and we get the items, these switch items from there. And now we declare our additional switch items, and this is not like this, I'm sorry, this is an array. So array here, and what's up here? Use array from to convert itable. Okay, they don't need this. I don't need this. Would like to disable it, but I can quick fix it. I can fix this. It wants it like this, but nah, I will quick fix it. Disable, comment angle, blah blah blah, no trailing spaces. Disable. Yeah. So like this, and now here we will add our. I will close this so you don't need to mess it up. Great. So here we need to add our new route. Let's define a position to it. It should be below the URL rewrites you see here, because if they are above URL rewrites, then the URL rewrites will always show. So our route, we need to import the React route here, and this can be also taken from here. We take a route from here. We take a route from here. Correct? And then we define a path to Artyom's. Artyom's path is like this, Artyom's, I suppose. And we also need to import the component itself. So let's go for Artyom's, and we imported it. But instead of Artyom's.component, we need to have simple .Artyom's. Because, yes, like this, because we need to have the container beforehand. We really, we are really showcasing the container. So, any questions at this point? I'm unsure whether this is right or not, but we will check this in compilation. It could be this. Everyone is in this point now, correct?
So the file basically defines this particular component.
Once again?
This file declares that that component exists.
No, this file declares that we have a React router, yeah, and we need to tell the router that there is a new route, as you just mentioned. So what we do here is we register additional route. So component is already existing, it's already there in application, but we need, we need to specify the access to the component. So it's URL, route, the Artyom's. And how it's combined together, it's pretty simple. Here you can see that there is a switch. It's just going into the logic. There is a switch which renders different items, and yeah, it basically clones the element specified in here, and yeah, it applies some additional things to it. But we don't get into this yet. But here is the extension. This is how we extend the router. Okay, and if everybody has done this, done it. Let's try looking into what application says to us. It says to us, I want work. Why? Because it's an invalid spread of non-iterable instance. That's amazing. That's what I like to see. But, yeah. This is the order of. So in React, in React router, the routes can have a position. No, in React router, depending on when you declared a route, it will take an action. If you have, for example, /application and /application/123. If you have the /application defined before /application123, then this route will work out in this switch component. If you switch them in position, like you will have / like this. I will type it down. Like app123 and /app is different, and depending on the position, whether you have it like this or like this. In this case, if we assume that they are inside of a switch, and they are exact, yeah, and maybe this one is not exact and this is exact, yeah, then in this situation, we won't get into up, and in this situation, we won't get into up 1 to 3. So the position means the order, eventually, of the declaration of a route, okay?
Or I guess the example is the URL rewrites router. Maybe you can show that.
Yes, sure I can.
So you want that URL rewrite to be checked the very last, because like you want all other defined routes to be checked before real trying, because
that last have some kind of dependency.
Not previous, like
It's
let's say you have a category page that you want, like for category root page / category, you want to run like some different category from the category root, and then or the category can have subcategory. For the category, you want some other component to fire, and then URL for those subcategories would also contain
Be the same plus.
yeah. So you need to check them in correct order. So that more specific.
Otherwise, it will throw like an error because it doesn't define this particular parameter.
It will load the wrong component.
It's like the order is important if you, for example, have an 404 page and you only show it if none of the previously defined routes are matched. And you don't want to have this 404 defined in the very top, because when router is checking for routes, it checks them one by one. And then if you have this on the very top, it will always go to 404. But if you have this in the very bottom, then you work it out. And you can have those dependencies like 404, URL rewrites in multiple spaces. And this is why we provide you a possibility to order the routes.
Why this 80? Why?
80 is why we did 80. So we have this 10, 20, 25, blah, blah, blah. And then we come to URL rewrites, which is 1000. So it's very far away. And I just took the next one after my account. Yeah, it's after my account, it's 80. So I have 70 here, and I'm using 80 here. Because if I take this similar number, the same 70, the router will throw an error. So like you cannot have duplicate position. Yeah, I can go for 71. I can go for 1 to 3. But I cannot go for this one. I cannot go for this one, because the URL rewrites is 1000. If I go for 1001, this page will never open. Correct. You can see it has no route, it has no path, so it's always working. Here, let's check what we got in final. We still have an issues. They are mostly related to invalid spread. Blah, blah, blah. This is, I believe, because we are calling super, not the... And I don't know why is it so non-beautiful. Can we try this? Yeah, this works. This works. It's always better than super, but it sometimes makes for circular dependencies, like round and round and round, multiple calls per time. So let's check our router. We can check it by typing Artyom's here. Should we? Hello, Artyom's. Yeah. Everybody got this? That's good. I will help you out. Or let's speak.
Check, so everyone has like this, or someone is using something.
What's important here to do is see we exported the history from source route. Create new route. Artyom, you will help him later on, yes? Okay, sure. We will not wait until the end, so let's proceed. So now what we've done, we created our route and we registered it and we have a component, yes? Let's now go through the component structure, what we have here. So simple component in React, always have render. You might notice that we are using the pure component instead of the normal component. The main difference here is that pure component implements the should update React lifecycle method, which is a little bit more effective rather than the normal component. We're also referencing prop types here, but this is the component. It should always be responsible for rendering, and business logic should not be contained here. But where should the business logic be located? And the answer is in the container. So our component may have a container, and this container has multiple purposes. First of all, we map the state and dispatch to props here. So this is your global history mappings. And we're using the Redux connect function to do it down here. So here we go. This is the export default connect. And this is the first main purpose of the container, to map the global state. And this is what you have chosen initially when you were creating the component, whether you want it to be mapped to the global state or you don't. Yeah? And another thing is the business logic. And this is where this part comes from. Artyom's container extends pure component is another component, which is a wrapper on top of the original component. And it could be called as a container, as high order component. It's still the wrapper around the Artyoms. And what it does, it simply prepares properties and functions, supplies additional functions for this component to have a logic, business logic in it. And we can see multiple examples of it in source. So if we go, for example, to anyone, like let's go to component folder here, choose whatever, name one. Okay, let's go to, no, which one? Let's go for overlay. It's an interesting component, so I like it. Maybe it doesn't have, it's overlay. Let's go to overlay. Overlay it is. Here we go. So overlay has a container and component, and the container for overlay doesn't have business logic. Oh, amazing. Nice. Love it. Let's go to my account dashboard. It should. Yeah. So my account dashboard has some logic. Amazing. And example is that we are preparing additional function like get default addresses with like check for is it a billing or is it shipping, and then we return correct addresses. And we are doing this in container, so later we can exchange this function to something else and still reuse the component part of it. And we are doing this in multiple multiple examples as well. Not sure if it's efficient to find them all, but the main idea behind the container is that you can have the interface of your prop types in your component, and then you can provide those functions by different implementations of those functions to the component from the container. And yeah, this is how it goes. Yeah, prop types is basically, because we haven't went for TypeScript in the very beginning, we will, but we are not doing this now. The prop types is the props. Do you know what's props in React component? So there is a React, and it has such abstract thing as components. So it thinks about the DOM model in terms of components. So you like have your let's see. I will show you here. You have here.
Actually, props stands for property.
No, no. You shouldn't mix them up, and they intentionally name them props. And the big difference between props and properties is that properties are DOM-based, so they are based on the DOM properties, etc., and they are typed in manually, but props are based on the React Shadow DOM. And this is why they named it, not Shadow, Virtual DOM, not Shadow, my fault, that's a big difference. Virtual DOM. And they are different, but they are mapped together. So for example, for class in DOM, you have your class attribute, yeah, but or property on the HTML element. But in reality, it's a class name. So no, like class list or the class name in the JavaScript representation of the same code which you type in, yeah? And that's the difference. So basically, you can read about this in depth, but properties are different from props in terms of they don't obligatory has to be rendered. They, yeah. Okay. And here are the components. We have the application, provider, blah, blah, blah. And the React component may contain some logic internally, like it may have some rendering functions, which will render the HTML. And this HTML may have other components inside of it. So here we have only a list of components, but each of those components have additional HTML before it returns other components. So basically, React is a mixture of HTML elements and components inside of them. And the components are responsible for rendering HTML inside. No, but HTML is not HTML, it's the JS6 transformed into HTML. So yeah, I believe, should we go into in depth about the React, or we can like assume we understand what React does? Yes, I can. In several minutes, unsure, but let's just, I don't know, should we do it? I believe we don't. Okay, sure. Good. So then, let's start from the scratch. Then we have React, and in React we have multiple ways to declare a component. So React works on top of the components. And those components have the JS6 object representation of the DOM inside of them. And this JS6 is what you see here. JS6 is a basic typing language, markup language, which allows you to transform your typed things into the object. It will be transformed into the object like this, like similar stuff. But it will be used later to build the virtual DOM out of this object. So what is essentially the virtual DOM of React? Virtual DOM of React is essentially the object, which is the JS6 object. And JS6 object is simple. It always has one entry point, and it always starts with single property. So this is why you cannot go for stuff like this, yeah? Because the JS6 object always have a single entry point. But you can do stuff like this. You can wrap it with a fragment. And this means that now JS6 will have only one entry point. This is essential because later the representation of JS6 will look like this. So you have, for example, your key name of your component. This could be fragment in our case. This is fragment. And it has the object inside. Fragment can have a description. It could be anything. It could have like properties, etc., etc. Let's call them props, yeah? Those are props. This is an array of props, or not an array, I'm sorry, this is an object of props. Also, it has a field of children. So it has children, and children have stuff, yep, like this. And I'm sorry, this is a parent node. So this should be a parent node. And this is why we don't have a fragment, like we cannot have multiple, because eventually this is name. This could be a name. A name could be, for example, a div. This could be a div, which has a props, which has children, and this in children we have the same stuff. It's the same stuff, and this is the JS6 representation of code typed there. And then this code is being taken and recursively being compared with this DOM, which elements and stuff. Yeah. So it simply does the document. It's representative, but simply document.body would go for body node list get node. So it gets a node, okay, node list. I'm unsure how to get them like this. Node list. So basically, React takes the node list of an element and it starts to compare this node list to list defined into his values here. And then it starts to compare, and when it finds the difference, it re-renders this part, which is different. So this is the main achievement of React, is that previously we used insert HTML to change something. You remember those times? But now, what React does for us, it compares the difference between what you're about to render and what is currently on page, and changes only things which changed. And React uses the keys for it. So you have keys, key part here, and the key should be unique and represent the element. It shouldn't be the array like iterator, because if it's, so yeah, the key is used to identify the element, and if it's the same Lee element, in order not to go in depth, to compare in depth, it just takes the single layer. But, and this is done for efficiency reasons. And for example, some other reactive platforms like Vue, they do it differently. And this is why in some cases, React might be more efficient than Vue and might be more efficient than other typings, because they have a different mechanism of this comparison. And the most efficient comparison mechanism is implemented in Preact. So Preact is a library which has the most efficient comparison mechanism, and this is the most efficient library which implements the virtual DOM. While others are closing to it, but not close enough. So we have keys, and we have used those keys not often. We use those keys only when we are iterating something. So you might have seen stuff like this pop up in your code, like this, yeah? See here. We have the Lee key attribute code, yeah? For example. And this is done for repetitive reasons, but in reality, you can add this to any element. And what React does internally, it appends this key to all elements he creates. And this allows you to overwrite the key which is supplied. Okay. What else does the React? React has two methods. So you declare those JS6 typings, JS6 templates in your components. And there are two types of the components. The first one is the class component, and the second is a functional component. So we are using class-based components. Why we are using class-based components? We are using class-based components in order to have an extendability. We are not using the functional components due to them being inextendable. You cannot just extend a part of a function and then leave it alone. So if you are trying to achieve the functional component behavior to be extendable, yeah, then you essentially come to the implementation of a class, because you start to write prototypes, you start to use this, and what class basically is in JavaScript, it's simple sugar on top of the function. So class is a function, but it's a sugar, so everything you type here is eventually a prototype, etc., etc. So basically, classes are extendable, so we are using class-based components. Also, they are more efficient in rendering, while less efficient in bundle space. So class takes more space in a bundle, while it provides you with efficient comparison mechanism and the lifecycle events. The functional component don't have it, and it updates every time. And you can prevent it, you have a hooks for it, but it's still more complex than the class component. Also, the difference is that in class component, you can use state by default. You don't need anything for it. So the developer who would take this code afterwards will be able to implement whatever he wants. We don't block him with anything. And this is why we're not going for functional components yet. We are planning to implement functional components in the container phase before wrapping into the component itself. Why? Because we would like to have a connection to, for example, the hooks. We would like to have hooks at some point for something. I'm not sure for what exactly. But if we would, then we would go to our container, and here we would declare an additional constant, and we would wrap our component with our functional component. And but any functional component introduced into system makes the system less extendable. So we would kindly recommend you not using functional components if you are going for extendability. Okay, great. So there are also, the class components are divided into pure components and the simple components. No, simple components are named component, and pure components are named pure components. The difference is that the React class component has a full life cycle. It can mount, it can update, and it can unmount. So you can toggle, and the difference between pure component and component is that you can interrupt the update And in component, you can implement, if you're using not pure component, but component, you can implement the should component update lifecycle method, in which you can prevent re-rendering if some condition is not met. This is useful for optimization of your renderings. But because we don't have, first of all, time, second, necessity, we are using the pure components, which do a strict compartment and don't re-render if the props or the state doesn't change. So that's a thing about them. Yep. Component, so imagine the component, parent component has been updated, yes? Then if a child is component, then it will be re-rendered. But if it's a pure component, then it won't, because the props and state won't change. That's the big difference. And that's why the applications who are made on the components are laggy. And most likely you have noticed like blinking stuff somewhere on the website, sometimes when you have big amount of data, and you change something and it lags. This is because they're using they are inefficiently implementing the should update method. We are not implementing it, we're using pure component like integrated method. But if you have a component, you should implement the component should component update method. You are not required, but you should, like, because otherwise you have performance issues.
But then what's the benefit of? Why do we have the regular component?
Initially, we were not educated enough. Initially, we were not educated enough to know this, so we went for components. Now we are regretting it, and we are moving everything to pure components. Now I believe we don't have any components in system, only pure.
In general, like, because you would want...
Oh, you see, no, that's a very big difference. You can make the real component perform better than pure component. You can implement your should update method in such a way that your component will only re-render in case only the specific value has been changed. Yeah.
It's more powerful.
It's more powerful, correct, but it needs correct handling. So go for normal component if you know when exactly you want your component to be re-rendered. Okay, cool. And I always say re-render, but what do I mean? So rendering is a process of React comparing the DOM, JS DOM, with virtual DOM of it, and putting the stuff into it, yeah, putting in. And when component is rendered, this means that the DOM has been also updated, basically. Yeah. You should also note that we are using this set state in React because most of the things here, because set state is basically a proxy, and state and the props are like, they are freezed objects, and they can only update when, not freezed, this is my terminology, but it's not a real object.freeze in JavaScript. They are like kind of restricted another way by wrapping with getters. So yeah, the only way you can get the state object right away is by like typing, do you really want to know this? But internally, I'm sorry for going too far away, but you can use the reflection API of JavaScript in order to get the real state and update it. But it's not meant to be done in this way, so don't do it. Just use this set state to set state. And yeah, also we're using a lot of destructions here and there. Why? Because destructors allow you to first supply the default values, and second, break down the object that you're working with. We recommend going with this approach if you are sure in your data structure. If you are not sure in your data structure, make sure to go with an old way of checking if this property is present, or provide the correct default value. So it's even if the data is wrong, the format is wrong, you will still get back the correct structure. The functions, internal functions in V8 are more efficient than the original for loops, etc., because they're especially optimized for what you are doing. Secondly, they require you to write a code which is like syntaxically correct. We don't have those lets, etc. Secondly, we ban let and var usage. So we only use constants. This is a step into the functional world where we don't redeclare variables, where we don't have, So this is a step forward into functional world. So we use only consts, and we force you to use this, guys. Find, sum, map, reduce. You can find them like hell of a lot in this project. And also, we don't have a single function, like single anonymous function creation here. All the functions are arrow functions, by the way. So yeah, that's pretty much how it goes at this point. Any questions? I would like to hear questions. No questions. We're finished with React. We can move on. Correct? Amazing. Amazing, amazing. So where were we? Here. So
remember, go slow.
I'm going as slow as we can. So guys, let's now decide what we would like to do. In my plan, we are creating a component, but I see that we are already have one created. We still played around with it a lot. Let's extend a different component. Let's extend some core component, like for example, let's go for something complex, like header, okay? Let's go for extending the header. While header is complex, you would ask me, because like simple header. Because in our application, the header has internal state, and it switches its state if you like click on stuff. So it goes from state to state, and you can navigate between the header states. This is why it has multiple different maps. So let's dig into it. The thing you need to do first is to, sorry, this is wrong file. Not this, this one, Artyom's, correct. So let's first investigate how we implemented this originally. Let's search for header and open it up. We see that we have a component, yeah? Great, great. And what is our main goal at this point? I would like this header to represent a different thing. I would like to have Artyom's written here and the button back to be shown. Do you agree it would be more useful to get back by using the back button and title on the mobile screen? So that's our main goal.
Like back button additional to that button?
No, we are using, we are about to implement similar to this. Let me show you. Similar to this. It will be similar to this, but it will be for our custom page. So we need to do it. First, let's decide how. We see that we have here the state map, which basically maps the buttons which we show in our header to the state of the header. So for pop-up state, we show the title and close. For PDP, we show back, title, and minicard, etc. Yeah, that's clear. Easy to read. Nice. Is it clear to everyone? Yes, cool. So guess how we can extend it. I want your ideas. I'll help you out. We will be using the source function, the function. So let's extend the source component. Let's type it in. We are extending the header. What we would like to extend out of those constants? I believe none of them except the class. So we need to check the class here. We checked it. It's the component extension. Great. Now, what we would like to extend in container. This will be a header container. We don't need anything else there. I will tell you why we need the header container in a second. Ready? Enter. And what we're doing with styles. Do you want to style your header?
Yeah, sorry, one question.
Yeah.
I guess you missed it at some point. There's this, you did some kind of a workspace thing because I'm getting this.
Yes, correct. So what you need to do is, can we go back? Can we go up? Sorry, and then please open can you open the Finder? So let's decide what we are doing with styles, whether we leave them as they are, extend them, or override them. What we are doing with styles? We are extending them. Okay. Great, you chose the most complex way. Amazing. So what you can see here is that we have created multiple files. First of all, the component folder has been created, yeah? See that? We have a header component, container, and override. Notice, when we extended something, the index file, which we had in our custom route, is not here anymore. Yeah? So the index is taken from the original file. What happened in container? In container, we simply took the original files and we exported it back. That's how it was.
What was with index.js?
Because we're using the fallback mechanism, essentially you can think about this project as your theme folder, yeah? The folder of PWA which you have in your workspace, as a simple override for all files in vendor folder, in the source folder. So those files, if you create a file in the same place as the in source, yes, it will override it. So this is what we are doing. And the index file, it's already there. We don't need to declare it. It's already in header.
Because we are not changing it.
So here we go. It's in header, you see? We don't need to change it. But also, see, there is a style here, and we decided to extend it, not override. So in order to do it, we created a file with a different name with a prefix override. So now it's header.override.style, and we imported this in our component.
So if we would want to override the index, we would...
Yeah, I'm sorry for naming this as override. I'm very hell of a lot bad in naming. Huh? If you would like to what? Yeah, sure. You just create a file here, index file. You just create index file here.
But not with the header override style. Like the index file, if you create it, it will be automatically overridden. Okay. And currently, show the header container. The header container currently essentially does nothing, and we could skip it. Like if you would delete the file, then essentially the same thing would happen. But I assume that we will be doing later something with the file. We will be adding something to it.
Correct, that's true. The thing we would like to add here is if you go to the header container which it just created, it shows you a lot of red warnings. That's because we haven't imported the correct things. It doesn't. It should if you have Yes Lint. To enable Yes Lint, you can just go here and type Yes Lint here and install it, but it's not necessary. I will tell you that you have issues. So basically, we will need with router and history first. So let me check. The source header is fine. This is fine. That's fine. Yep, we need to implement the header container. Let's quickly do it because otherwise it won't work. So to implement the header container, we should declare a class which will be a header container, and we should extend the source header container which we are supplied with. And you may notice that the source header container is the source component /header/header container. So we are referencing the original source component. Now we are extending it. We implemented the method pretty much. We don't need to type anything here just yet. We have just created a base for it. So what you don't like about this? Imported multiple times. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Let's just simply add it like this. Great. So here we go. This is how your header.container should look like. We can move this basically here. To move, you can just hold your Alt button and use your arrow keys. It's like allows you to move lines. Because it cannot notice. Basically, the generator has no predefined templates. It parses your code and tries to guess what you are about to implement. And we cannot guess that connect is a third-party function and from where it comes. It's hard to do. So basically, we are giving you the most important things which you will need to implement, and those are this and this. and we require you to please export the connector with router. Please import it for us. We cannot assure that we cannot create an extension yet, which will be able to import things for you right away.
Essentially, not all components that you can extend not all
most of them don't, I would say it like this.
So that with router gives you access to the URL information, right?
Correct.
You only generate the essential parts.
Yes, we generate the parts which are really essential, and the imports of additional modules, we kind of allow you to do it for us. Great.
But as this is open source project, you can extend the tool and have...
Oh, I would be so pleased if you would.
Have it be smarter in the next version, or maybe it will be in the next version by itself because it's open source. And some magic coders in the unicorn line will create.
Yeah, so everyone, do you implemented this? Great. And the component itself, it's not here, it's the original one. This is the original component. We see something is missing here. Oh, yeah, it's, sorry for it. Basically, the default export, you see the extension worked incorrectly. Huh? That's great. We learned something here. That's a bug, should be reported. But basically, we should extend the source header here. And we should do it like this. Export default header. Cool. And we can move this to do implement. And I suppose he would also want us to have this on this line. And those friends should go on a separate line each. It's not obligatory, it's kind of stylish thing. Nice to have, yeah. I can use my Alt key to navigate throughout them. What a beautiful tree, ladder I built here. So this guys should go here, and this should go here. So here we go. Would it be so kind and formatted for me? No, he won't. Would the Yes Lint autofix? No. Nobody wants to help me. It's all the manual work, huh? Labor intensive. Yeah, labor intensive stuff. Huh? Amazing. I can a little bit optimize myself by using multiple card feature.
Do you have like Control B or Alt J where you can select next occurrence?
Next occurrence of what? Of
like
comma?
Select comma space, and then Alt J or Control B.
I believe there is a possibility.
It should be somewhere.
It should be there. Still. Yeah, so here we go.
I think there was something wrong. You get
Oh, thanks a lot. That's eagle eye. Good. Yeah, there's nothing too much here. Basically, just an imports of those friends. I will separate.
You exported header?
Yeah, I export the default header. Maybe I should.
And maybe to recap.
In the big, it looks like this, basically.
So essentially, when the override mechanism happens and you load header component from the theme, the original header component is lost. Like that file is not loaded if you load this file. So you need to import it so that you get the functionality from the original.
Here's the import, which is
rather
rather speaking.
Then we do some adjustments and then we export it so that like we pass through our changes.
Correct. So let's check if the website is working at least for us. Does it break? It doesn't break, so which means we implemented our container and component successfully. Now let's try to extend it. Extend it with what, you ask me? I will answer you. Extend it with, first of all, we need to define our new state of the header, which is Artyom's state. Yeah, isn't that great? So the only thing we do is we go here and we say that this is Artyom's state now. Sorry, Artyom's. This is Artyom's state. And let's reference how we are doing this here. So we are using the state map and defining it like this. So we follow the same structure. We say state map equals, yep. And here we need to destruct the previous not destruct, but eventually, yeah, this state map. So we reference original state map. Oh, what's up, my boy? Unexpected trailing comma, and it's fine. So now we just do like this, and we added our new field. And what we discussed, we would like to have a title and a back button. So we are using this configuration, title and back.
Should you have the constant on top, artiums equals something, right?
Here we go.
Equals PDP. It's PDP now.
Oh, of course. Thanks a lot. Let's go for artiums. Let's check if anything is broken. Doesn't seem so. I'm very happy about this. Amazing. So this is basically almost it. Because notice here we have the header state in prop types. We are validating it in one-off. Yeah. So now this is like a thing which we need to remember. The React would try to validate the state, validate the props which are passed to it. And it will notice that the header state name element is not in those because there is no artiums here. How would we change it? We need to extend this as well. So let's do it. We have a static prop types here defined. Let's copy this here and let's put it here. So I would remove this to do implement Rus, right? So static prop types goes here. Now we destruct here the source header dot prop types. So we get the prop types from the source header here. What up? Trailing comma don't matter. And now we just need to copy a little bit, which is not great. And this is a part which we should make better by moving the header state into some different place. But basically, this is what we should do. And you see we need the prop types now. To get a prop types, we need to get it from here. Not like prop types import simple. I'm just copying because it's faster. And note that any import of the node module should occur before importing from aliases. Oh, so the sequence of imports is from node modules, then from aliases, then from the file system. Okay, good. And what we need to add here is we need to add here the artiums part. Artiums. Now it's valid. And also I'm tired of him like underlaying it, so I will add this to folder dictionary. Amazing. It's official. Yeah, artiums, you are officially added to dictionary. I did it like I copied it from original component. Yeah, let's check. Are we still all good? We're still all good. No issues. Ah?
Let's catch up everyone.
Yep. So you see we have the header source file, header.component.js. It has the roadmap. So the roadmap basically maps the routes which is currently opened on a page to some state. For example, we can see that for all category pages, we are setting the category name of the header state and defining the function to go back. We are simply pushing the slash into history, by which we are simply redirecting to the home page. So we need something like this defined in our container as well. So let's go and do it. Here we need to define the same roadmap as in the original container, and we should provide it with a value. And notice it was a map, so it's an object. And here we just provide the path that we just defined. So if we take a look in our router, we should have our path. It's /artiums. Great for me. So I put it down here, and then I open the header state part. And header state part should have a name in it, and name, we defined it here. So it's artiums. And you see, we exported it. So now what we can do is we can add this to, not here, sorry, I will showcase where. We should add this to it will automatically import it for me from here. So we should get it from here. So we are getting artiums from the component, and we can now check whether we have. Now it's question to you whether you want to listen something about the frontend, or you would like to see anything done on the backend additionally. Backend? So backend it is. Now, what we will be doing. So let's first of all disable the frontend. How to do it? We are not in the correct directory. Let me go to correct directory. No, don't stop anything. Don't stop. ScandiPWA base. What we will only do is, instead of recreating all the setup, we will only recreate those containers who really are related to frontend, which is only Nginx, because all others are still fine. So what we should do is we should type docker. Should I zoom more? Should I zoom more? Is it fine?
Yeah, it's fine.
A bit more, okay. Okay. So docker compose. Docker dash compose. Why it's not? I'm sorry. Docker compose. What? Yeah, correct. Thanks a lot. I missed it. Yeah. Docker compose.yaml -f docker compose.local -f docker compose.ssl, and that's pretty much it. We don't need frontend for this part. So we do up -d, and you can see that it will only recreate few of them. Now you need to create the composer.json file and the src folder. Now you have created composer.json and src inside of your new route. And the only thing left is to go into vendor, search for ScandiPWA here, search for example, let's go to catalog GraphQL fits me enough, copy this part, put it in your new route. So take whatever composer.json in ScandiPWA in any GraphQL module and put it down there. Great. Now you need to edit it a little. So let's call ScandiPWA, let it stick. I feel like ScandiPWA is a great name. But catalog GraphQL should be changed. Let's call it differently. Let's call it, for example, new route. New route, amazing. Keywords, we don't care about keywords. We can simply leave it empty. The description doesn't matter. Test, whatever. The support, not needed here. The require, don't need this. Type, Magento 2 module, that's correct. License, let it stay. I believe you're still fine with OSL license. The files, registration PHP, correct. And catalog GraphQL should be replaced with new route. If ready, then you create a UTC folder here. Guys, there, are you ready? Can we proceed? Composer oath, composer JSON yet? It's nothing to add here. You don't need to copy those files. You just need basically version 1.0 name, whatever name, but ScandiPWA in first line, and PSR4 where you write ScandiPWA, new route, and then you src. There is an src, simple. If you copied this, you should already have it. Correct? 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 Good, amazing. Registration PHP, the same. Copy it from there and place the ScandiPWA new route here. It should match your declaration in PSR4. Tell me when ready. Raise your hand when ready. I'm ready. Most of the people are ready. You guys? On what stage are you?
Copying the registration.
Okay, cool, cool. Then I will move to registration just to showcase how it should look like in the end. Great. And you guys, what up? You also have it still done, yeah? You have it. You cool, cool. It's basically Control-Shift-P. I use Control-Shift-P, but he knows better. Must be missing formatter for PHP. It depends. It's all in the extensions. Okay, registration PHP. I assume it's ready. Now we come to etc folder. The same stuff. We just need to copy the module XML. Go to whatever module you are copying. Take this one, and now here we must be a little bit more precise. Module XML. Here, in whatever you copy, you don't need the sequence. You will only need the module itself. So keep the module and replace this with this. Great. I will showcase how it looks like. We don't need all of this. We don't need all of this except XML. So here we go. I will move this out. Yeah, it should look somewhat like this. So you only have your except catalog GraphQL should be ScandiPWA new route. Here we go. This is how our module XML will look like. Now, next thing, you do need to create di.xml here. You create it, then you go to, let's go to this di.xml. Basically just any di.xml copy, we'll need only a little bit of it. So basically we don't need anything inside except, yeah, anything except the config itself. So it should look like this, basically pretty empty. Pretty empty at this point. Okay, basically, what we need to do, let's go to route 717 here in ScandiPWA vendor folder. Let's go to etc, di.xml, and let's copy this part. Type ScandiPWA router validation manager. We need to copy this part, put in our routes, and replace one of them with our custom validator, which we will create. So remember, the route here will be ScandiPWA, not router. I'm sorry, it will be. Take it from module. New route, ScandiPWA, new route, validator category. But our will be validator and custom. Okay, let's call it custom, whatever.
We should copy what part?
Validators part.
This one. And you should copy ScandiPWA router validator manager. Validation manager. Only this type. Route 717, the main router of ScandiPWA.
What particular
This should be your custom module route. So it should be ScandiPWA, the name of your module, validator, and custom. A custom is whatever. Yes, I can after I create this custom.php. Yeah. Not this file, I believe. This one. Maybe I should zoom out, or I will do it like this, so you can easily read it. And I will move this to the next line. It's basically in your validation manager. If we go into this file, you will find out that basically it is the, let me show you. Route 717 validation manager, and it has some arguments. It has validators, yeah, you see. And basically what we are doing by this, we are setting those validators into, we're adding the array here. And the category is basically it's kind of not a string, but it's basically this creates this creates this validator. So think about this like an object. Он отдельно просто, да? Что за front name здесь validators? Okay, done it. So now let's go to custom. And custom is similar to, let's take the easiest one of them. Let's take a validator. Let's take a CMS or cart validator. Yeah, that's a cart validator. Yes, it is. Cart validator. Good. Почему cart validator валидирует свой request вот так? Тут написано, что класс MS. What we should change here is we should change the new route to this, and to this, and this, and this. No, that's custom. I'm sorry, that's custom. That's the name of your file, basically, which we are currently working in. Да, это же правильно. Как регистрируется карт-роутер? Скажите мне, пожалуйста. Вот так. Подожди, а почему мы скопировали тогда? Мы не то скопировали флаг. Вот это оно? Fuck, я ступил. Sorry, the guy. Sorry, guys. The quick change here. I really misspelled something. Really misunderstood something a little. So basically, this one, I'm bad. My bad. This argument basically means the URL which you would like to access. Which I mean by this, because we copied from category, which is really logical. What we should do here, we should write our URL which we provided. In this case, my case, it's Artyom's. So here you just change this to Artyom's, whatever. And this, you can leave it as it is. It should work. So if you change this, to your custom, and your, basically if you change this and namespace, then you should be good.
Do you make a custom validator for your root?
Yeah, basically, this validator is just saying that it exists. You can later reuse it for any other route. Yes, we do. I will show it later. If you complete, everybody is complete about this. Let's try it out. Great. Go back to your terminal and type the docker compose exec -u user app bash. You enter inside the container, and now it's an interesting part. What we forgot to do, I'm sorry, it's funny. What we forgot to do is very simple. It's only a few lines of code we need to add. We need to add to our src main. We have this main composer.json, and here we have our repositories field. Find it and add here your custom path repository. So this says, sorry, the type is path. The type is path, and the URL is you should type local modulus / no, I don't want, because I have too much of them. So it will be new module. For me, it will be new route. So the name of your local module. Why it's not copying to me? Okay, new route. Huh? So now, if done this. If you're done, then go back here and do the tricky part. Write composer, install, and then go back and copy your name, which you specified in this composer JSON. ScandiPWA new route. Ready? We put it here.
Can you show the composer, please?
Yes, sure. Wait a sec. Yes, showing. This one. I will zoom. Sorry for zooming back out. Good. And then you should be able to install it. Sorry, my bad. I really forgot that not install, but require. Sorry, my bad. Require. Sorry. What a junior mistake I did. You should make fun of me now. the path, relative path to your file. It basically looks like this. Looks like this, local modules and name of your folder, which you created there. And now we wait. Ha! You see how great. Couldn't be downloaded. My network is down. Sorry. That's my network issue. I will quickly fix it by doing one simple thing. Sorry, guys. It's DC. Let me do it. I will fix it for me. You should not have this issue. If you have it, then simply up -d -- force to create. This could take time for you if you sit on Mac.
Shouldn't the URL be lib/local?
What?
Shouldn't the URL be in your composer.json file lib/?
No. Show me. What's up? Couldn't find the matchable version of the package spelling, your version constraint, blah, blah, blah. Can you show me your composer.json of new route? Composer.json, this one. Sorry, I typed myself. Nice. Escape, I suppose. No, then this. Let's go to new route. Ha ha ha. Here.
Stop it.
You have a name, ScandiPWA new route. It's correct. You have test, you have version, and you have this defined. Correct. Now this should be okay. Show me your composer main one. Here you have path local modules new route, which is also correct. And can you show me the no. Okay, you can show me the terminal now. Invalid argument ScandiPWA new route. Oh, this is the previous error. I see. Couldn't find matching version ScandiPWA route. Check new version spelling. Package version constraint. The package is available. Stability is much in the minimal stability is stable. This should work. Otherwise, this should work. This should work. This should work. Let me check. I just recently done this once again. Huh?
No.
Yeah, it takes time. But he had specified his version. This is stable version.
No, I mean in the require.
You can try. You can try specifying the requires ScandiPWA new route. Let's go for shift and 1.0.0. Let's try. It might not. It doesn't. It shouldn't change anything. Shouldn't change. Spelling constraint that package ability stability much to minimum stability stable. Okay, let me check on my machine. Maybe I have the same issue. Yeah. What? Why you mean lib? Where you find the lib? No, it should be in SRC. Let me check. Should be fine. If it doesn't for me, then we'll find it out. We'll find out now. If I am the bad guy. Where's Rivas? He went away? Oh, Rivas, fine. If something, I will ask for your help here because I kind of feel doing everything right, except I don't understand why it's. Wait for one man at least for now. Maybe if it doesn't work for me, then I will cry in tears and ask for your help. But I'm kind of.
So does it work for someone or not?
I'm kind of waiting.
It works here. Okay, cool.
That's because you were there. That's because he wasn't unable to reach them. basically. That's the network conditions current. So he like said that, oh, I haven't found it in my like remote JSONs. Now I'll try to fetch it from your local repository. And it does it so slowly. Can you read the file, please? I love waiting for Composer installing the modules. By the way, you know that Magento sets cache as disabled after you install any Composer module? Now you know. I know. It's let's help. You should get to the same point, by the way. So you should be able to get to the same point. Let me check your file structure at least. You have your of course, it's SRC. It's SRC. You are in the SRC folder. Okay. Now, okay. You have your new route. SRC validator shouldn't be here. Should be here. That shouldn't matter too much. Composer JSON version is here. Files is here. What's missing? Registration looks legit. UTC module looks legit. This one, and it shouldn't be shouldn't affect. So back at it again. This is what you copied, yeah, into your require. How many terminals do you have? Once again, it's composer, require, 50. Please. Still the same stuff. Why? For you. You have added this. We've seen already. We have seen your composer. Rivus, that's time. Can you help? Could you help? Yeah. Path, local modules, new route. It should be fine. Local modules, new route. New route is here as well. It works fine.
So what it doesn't find it?
Yeah, it cannot find it. For me, it has installed using the latest version. So for me, it worked. I just need to wait until Composer finishes his. Anybody who has this as well? You have this, yeah?
I am there.
That's amazing. I don't understand why it's like hangs after it. You're still waiting. You are still waiting. Okay. No, he had done it. Then it fetched those who failed. Okay. Okay. Good.
So I'm now went through.
You went through. After you went through, you can do Magento setup upgrade.
Inside the batch.
Yeah. And then you can do Magento se. It's like setup s yeah. Yeah. And colon.
I'm sorry.
Colon. It's like 2 dots. Up.
Okay.
Oop. Now space, andent, like a second command, andent. It's this andent symbol. Once again, and Magento. C, like C, this colon. No, C. Sorry, I'm bad in spelling.
Sorry, my.
Yeah,
okay.
and C enable. Yeah. That's basically setup, upgrade, and then Magento cache enable. We done it. Waiting for it. Great, nothing to change. Amazing. And after this, we should be able to see the correct result. Oh, it's 200. Correct? And that's the expected. Everybody done it? I assume it's a quick job to do, but now it's the most difficult part will be like now. So listen carefully. You need to create a file. It's schema dot. Now it's complex to say GraphQLS. Schema dot with dot GraphQLS. Please don't make it typos. I do typos here like all the time. Okay, good. Now we need to define our query. So basically, we would request a server time because it's the easiest thing to request, correct? So I do type query. This is, query. And maybe we should speak a little about GraphQL, or do you need it? Should we speak about GraphQL? Should we? Oh, raise your hand if you want to speak about GraphQL. Okay, so let's speak a little about GraphQL. I will just showcase it quickly. Just go through quickly. What we can see here is, for example, we currently can examine the schema. And what is a schema, basically? Schema is basically declarations of your endpoints. And what you see here is queries. How does GraphQL knows what's inside the schema? It basically does such a request. It requests a schema, and inside of the schema, it has its own params. Like, for example, you can request query types, yeah? And query types may have name. This, name. This is what basically it has inside of it. So it like takes a query time, or it may have fields, yeah? The fields of query. And this is what we currently declared. What are they? Name. Is it name? There is a name. Cool. So query doesn't have fields, but let me check. That was types, I believe. Sorry, was types, correct? And here we have a name, and there will be a lot of them. That's all the types which are available. And here we will declare our own. Basically, GraphQL is a big document, the tree of types, where you have your type or interface, and it's all interrelated. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't like speaking about GraphQL so much, but basically you have type query, and you have type mutation, and you have type subscription. The subscription is not supported by Magento, so you can forget about this in this scope, but mutation is. So the mutation is the type of request you do to the GraphQL endpoint, which basically updates some data. It has some interaction with what's happening on the backend. This is why it's called mutation. It mutates the data. The query is a different beast. It only gets the data. So query is a getter, mutation is a setter, or setter getter, whatever. But it must update the data somehow or interact. Yeah, and also how you can include in type query. You can provide what we are requesting. So in query, we are requesting, I call it awesome server time. And I would like to return what? We have two options here. We can either return a string right away, or we can return the different type for what you want to fall in. We can go for return of, so basically how it looks like. It has an argument. Every field has an argument. Here can go your args. Don't type it. And here goes the type it returns. Basically here we defined the awesome server time, takes an argument of a string and returns a string. But we don't have any arguments to get a server time, so we don't need an argument field. We can just go awesome server time or server time, and we would return a type string. You can return your custom type, but if you are planning to do this, then you need to declare it. So if you go here, you can declare your custom type, and then you can put it here. And then here will be other fields. This is what you see. You can get a tree of those types. But we are falling for the most similar, or most easier one, which is string. Awesome. So we defined our query. What also we need to do is to define a directive. Directive is an interesting thing in Magento because directives are meant to, in real GraphQL, directives are meant for schema manipulations, and noting on the schema. Like this, for example, in federated schema, you have fields directive. The directives allows you to add additional data to your fields while declaring them. So here in Magento, they implemented such thing as resolver directive, which allows you to specify the resolver for your query. So because the declaration is kind of long, let's copy the declaration from the vendor. Let's go to some GraphQL module and take it from there. So we have GraphQL, schema.graphqls, and let's take the resolver part, this one. Resolver part, whatever resolver part you want. And then put it in place with your original resolver. And here, put the correct name of a module. Take this name from your module XML. In my case, this will be ScandiPWA new route. So it's ScandiPWA. I will show you. ScandiPWA new route. Any module of ScandiPWA which has -GraphQL, go to the same path, schema.graphql. And the guys, sorry for mistake, you can even leave the schema here. You can have it in your etc folder. The folders inside etc are basically the, how they call them? They are the context of where are you working. This could be admin HTML, frontend, or GraphQL. We don't need this. We don't require. It's not required to put in this folder, so we can simply ignore it and have schema in etc. So we have our resolver declared. I'll show you how it looks like. Resolver, class, ScandiPWA, new route, model, resolver, and the name will be server time. Yes, I will. This part, yeah? Correct? Okay, sure. Not really, because subscriptions are for, like, yeah, for streams of data, yeah, but the thing is, we don't need to store fields like notifications, yeah, in GraphQL. We would like them to happen only on frontend, and this is why we're using the global state. Or for example, when you log in or log out, this could be achieved via subscriptions, and we lock them. So what we do is we are using the global state to say either we logged in or logged out. Yeah. Resolver, yeah, server time. We registered it. Now we need to create a folder. We go to model. It's simple as going to your SRC. And SRC, you create a folder called model. In it, you create a folder called resolver. Wait, need to go to it. You create a folder resolver. In resolver, you create your PHP file called server time. Servertime.php. And here we will need to code a little, or not code, but copy. Haha, how you like that? Because coding is complex, you can make many mistakes, but copying is easy. So, ScandiPWA. And here you can get to any code you want. Which should you choose? Let's go to catalog GraphQL, model, resolver, products. I like the products. Sure. Let's get them. Let's agree the worst case. So let me paste them here. This is basic resolver. I will zoom out a little so I can. Oh, Rivas Dayers. See your name here. I've been there. Right. So let me remove everything what is not needed, and then I zoom in for you. So basically, we don't need the search criteria builder, search query filter, search blah, blah, blah. Just everything which isn't the structure basically. So it's search criteria, everything. We don't need it. Search criteria builder, no. Search, no. We only need. Resolver interface is what we need. Resolver info we need. Fields we need. That's it. Every other is unnecessary. Now we can remove this part completely. This part is completely unnecessary, and this should be renamed to server time. Correct. Thanks for pointing this. It should be new route. Tell me when you're done. You can basically get the source of this file, most of it, from the any GraphQL module of ScandiPWA. And now we need to add the implementation. So the implementation will look very similar. We need to use date time, I suppose. Date time, that's correct. And here on the very bottom, we should simply return new in date time. And then we go for get time stamp. Yep, like this. If it's done, then basically what we need to do is just to go into our console and write Magento cache flash. I will leave. Does anyone need the previous file? Sure, I will zoom it for you. I believe you need this part most of all. Which part you need? We can tangle it whenever. All right. And here we go. So my request worked out. I requested awesome server time, and I got my server time. So it works like this. I can update it, and it gets me the data. Very simple, but efficient. Can you test it? Do you have any tools to make a request?
For the Google Chrome, it will be Altair, the extension for Google Chrome. The extension for Altair.
You can go it like this. You can go
to the extensions and actually download everything that mentions GraphQL.
Sorry for my black Chrome. Really sorry. Feel bad now. Yeah, this one. You can add it to Chrome, and then you can inspect in it. Inspect in it. Will you add to me? Amazing. I just need to reload the Chrome. And I will. Where is my Altair? Altair, where are you? It's not here. I'm faking. But basically, this is how we implement it. You can make, we can write, yeah, we can write it. We can write it here in my ScandiPWA local. No, so broken. Okay, let's use console for it. We are great developers. We can do it our own. We can fetch. What we will fetch? We'll fetch our URL. No. I could. Basically, here we need to specify headers, I assume, correct? Headers will be, oh, easy. It's easier. Just let's Google for it. Make GraphQL request fetch. Yeah. With example. Great code quality, free. Oh, it's so slow. No, it's faster to write it. Okay. Let's try it with dump headers. First, we 100% need a body. The body will look like a query. Oh, sorry, not like this. It's JSON, so it's JSON.parse, .stringify. Sorry, this will be JSON stringify of what? Of query, where we need to write query, and here inside we need to write awesome server time or whatever you provided there. So basically, awesome server time in my case, awesome server time, and make JSON request basically, and headers was like this, and it's accept application/JSON, application from small, and oh, sorry, and type application.json. What else? Type here will be post, and we also need to run then response, response.json, and then JSON. Я правильно писал? Content type. Sorry, this is content. I know you believe me. Accept type, скорее всего. Don't need this part. Let's try. I'm JSON. It should be post, like small post. No? What's up, bro? What's up, bro? Basically, you know what? Really stupid, man. And what you can really do is go easy and just press here. It's Google Chrome. I forgot about this feature. Just press here, copy as fetch. Just press, copy as fetch. Amazing. But better for this one, for GraphQL, where is no copy as fetch. Amazing. Now, replace what I just written. Remove all of this. No, you need this. You don't need You not need the data part. Where's my data part? Body, it is here. So the body will be different. The body for us will be simple as JSON dot string py, and here will go the query, and you can, and this query should have query, and this query should have awesome server time, and then it should be done. Let's check it. That's Google done for me. It will. I know that it will respond to me. It will respond with promise, but we are smart guys. We can preview it here.
We're going deep.
Nothing is responding. Oh, bad code.
We'll get there eventually. Don't worry.
It's fine. My GraphQL thingy works. You will be able to test it out after you get your GraphQL thingy. Hopefully. Well, this one is empty. Basically the same we have both here. Okay, my friends, never mind. We've done it. We've done it, really. Really done it. Done it great. So that's pretty much it from the practice side. So what we learned today is to create A, resolvers in Magento, B, to create to register our own routes using our router, C, to extend the components, and D, to create new components and merge them, like include them into previously created ones. It covers our workshop for today. I think so. We will be able to speak about we can speak about some additional details if you want about service worker and maybe some requests, if you wish. But overall, the practice part is over. I'm thankful for you for joining the practice part of it. So give yourself an applause. It was a great thing to do. Thanks.